I lost my baby, and the woman sitting across from me told me to keep it down. She said my crying was disturbing the peace in the waiting room. She didn't know that her words would turn the entire hospital against her within minutes. It started that morning at St. Mary's Women's Center. I was 22 weeks pregnant, nervous, excited, and completely unprepared for the words that would destroy me. The ultrasound tech went quiet halfway through my anatomy scan. Then she excused herself to get the doctor. That silence, it stretched forever. When Dr. Mitchell came back, she didn't even have to speak. I could tell from her eyes. "Emily, there's no heartbeat." My world stopped right there. I remember holding on to James's hand so tightly my nails dug into his skin. I didn't want to believe it. Not after all the weeks of morning sickness, the nursery plans, the tiny onesies hanging in our laundry room. But the truth was, they're written in the flat gray line on that monitor. My baby girl was gone. We were told to wait while they prepared a procedure. So we sat in the maternity waiting room, the same one filled with glowing mothers-to-be couples, whispering about baby names and the faint hum of a cartoon playing on a wall TV. I sat there with a hospital wristband, red-eyed and shaking, trying to stay quiet, trying not to make a scene. But grief doesn't follow manners. It comes out whether you want it to or not. I cried. Not loud, not hysterical, just soft, broken sounds slipping out between breaths. And that's when I heard the sigh. A long, exaggerated, "Ugh." I looked up and saw her mid-40s polished hair, fuchsia silk blouse, leopard print purse. The kind of woman who looks like she's heading to brunch after yoga. She flipped through a magazine with the grace of someone deeply inconvenienced by the existence of others. For 10 minutes she shifted in her seat, cleared her throat, rolled her eyes. Then she got up and walked over. "Excuse me," she said with that voice dripping in fake politeness. "Some of us are trying to have a peaceful waiting experience. Could you maybe control yourself?" This isn't a therapy session. I blinked, stunned. My throat was raw, but I managed to whisper, "I just lost my baby." You'd think that would shut anyone up. You'd think maybe she'd apologize or at least back away. But she didn't. She crossed her arms, tilted her chin, and said, "Well, that's very sad, but you're making everyone uncomfortable. Maybe wait in your car, or ask for a private room." James stood up so fast his chair scraped the floor. "Are you serious right now?" His voice echoed through the room. "My wife just found out our daughter is dead, and you're complaining about her." Crying. The woman, her name was Brenda, I'd later learn, didn't even flinch. "I'm pregnant too," she said, pressing a manicured hand over her belly. "And this kind of negative energy isn't good for my baby. I shouldn't have to be exposed to this." Negative energy, about a woman who'd just lost her child. Every pair of eyes in that waiting room turned to her. A nurse at the front desk froze mid-step. A young woman across from us started crying quietly. An older couple shook their heads in disgust. I wanted to disappear. My face burned with humiliation. I thought maybe I am making a scene. Maybe I should go. Maybe I should just swallow the pain and be quiet like she wants. I reached for my bag, ready to leave, but James caught my hand. "No," he whispered. "You've done nothing wrong." And then, like some kind of divine timing, the door to the exam area opened, and out walked Dr. Sarah Mitchell, our OB-GYN. She was in her 40s, calm eyes, no-nonsense kind of presence. She saw my tears, James's red face, and Brenda standing there with her arms folded. "What's going on here?" she asked. Before either of us could answer, Brenda jumped in. "Doctor, I'm a patient here, and this woman has been crying loudly for 20 minutes. It's very disruptive, and I think it's reasonable to ask for a more peaceful environment for everyone else." The doctor's face went from concerned to absolutely stone cold. "Are you talking about Emily?" Brenda nodded like she was doing the world a favor. "I don't know her name, but yes, her. I get that she's upset about something, but—" Dr. Mitchell cut her off. "She's upset about something. Let me tell you what that something is." Her voice didn't rise, but the entire room seemed to lean forward. "Emily came in today for a routine anatomy scan. She was supposed to find out her baby's gender. Instead, we discovered there's no heartbeat. She's been carrying her deceased child for days, and she's waiting for a procedure to deliver her baby. That's what she's upset about. So please tell me again how her grief is inconvenient for you. You could hear the air conditioner hum. That's how quiet it got. Brenda's mouth opened and closed like a fish. I didn't know, but still maybe she should. Maybe she should— What? The doctor snapped. Grieve more quietly. Suffer more conveniently. This is a maternity ward, Brenda. Not every pregnancy ends in a baby shower. Some of these women are living their worst day right now, and if hearing someone cry makes you uncomfortable, you're welcome to wait somewhere else. Brenda's face went red, then purple. You can't talk to me like that. I'm calling the patient advocate. She whipped out her phone like it was a weapon. The nurse behind the counter. Rebecca stepped forward, clipboard in hand. Ma'am, there are multiple witnesses here who saw you approach this patient and demand she stop crying after being told she lost her child. That's harassment. If you don't sit down or leave, we'll have to remove you from the facility. The older man in the corner muttered, You should be ashamed of yourself. The young pregnant woman whispered, How could you be so cruel? Brenda clutched her designer bag like a shield. Fine, I'll find another doctor, one who respects all patients equally. Dr. Mitchell folded her arms. That's probably for the best. I'll note in your chart that you declined continued care here. You'll need to find a new OBGYN, and I'm sure they'll be curious why. Brenda's heels clicked sharply as she stormed out. No one looked away until the door shut behind her. The second she was gone, the entire tension in the room broke like a snapped wire. Dr. Mitchell knelt beside me, took my trembling hand. I'm so sorry you had to go through that, she said softly. You have every right to cry. You have every right to grieve. We're going to take care of you. That's when I broke again, full-on sobbing, this time not from humiliation, but from relief. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't selfish. I was a mother who had just lost her child. The older couple came over. The woman handed me a small prayer card. We lost our first baby 40 years ago, she said. It never stops hurting, but you'll survive. You're stronger than you think. The young mom-to-be hugged me, whispering, if I ever needed to cry in a waiting room, I'd want someone like Dr. Mitchell defending me. Even the man in scrubs, turns out he was an anesthesiologist, said quietly. What that woman said to you was one of the cruelest things I've heard in a hospital. Most people aren't like her. Don't let her voice be the one that sticks. Dr. Mitchell led us to a private room. She brought tissues, water, even dimmed the lights. Then before the procedure, she returned with a small white box. It's called a memory box, she said, placing it on the table. Inside was a tiny blanket, a journal, a set of footprint ink pads, and a small booklet about pregnancy loss. You weren't expecting to need this today, but some families find comfort in keeping memories. Your baby was real. She mattered. She was loved. We named her Lily Rose. After the procedure, we took her tiny footprints and kept that blanket close for months. Every night I wrote to her in that journal. A few weeks later, word got around that Brenda had actually filed a complaint against Dr. Mitchell, claiming unprofessional behavior. But karma doesn't miss. The patient advocate reviewed security footage, talked to witnesses, and ruled that the doctor had acted appropriately to protect a grieving patient. The hospital even sent me and James a formal apology for Brenda's conduct. They also informed her that she was no longer welcome there. And because karma has a sense of humor, Brenda tried to tell her side on a local mom's Facebook group. She painted herself as the victim, a pregnant woman verbally attacked by a rude doctor. But guess what? Several people from that waiting room were in the same group. They told the truth. Comment after comment tore her story apart. Women shared their own losses, their own grief, their anger at her cruelty. Within hours, Brenda deleted the post and left the group. But not before other OBGYN offices in town quietly flagged her name in their system. 6 months later, I got pregnant again. The first trimester was nothing but fear. I barely breathed between appointments. But Dr. Mitchell stayed with me the entire journey. Every checkup, she'd squeeze my hand and remind me, different pregnancy, different story. 9 months later, I gave birth to a healthy baby boy, Lucas. When Dr. Mitchell handed him to me, I showed her a picture of Lily's memory box. She cried. James cried. I cried. And in that moment, I realized Lily wasn't gone. She'd just made room for her little brother to arrive. Sometimes I still think about that waiting room. Not because of Brenda's cruelty, but because of everyone else who showed up for me. The nurse who stood her ground, the strangers who offered kindness, the doctor who defended my right to cry. I learned something that day, something I'll never forget. Grief doesn't need to be quiet. Compassion doesn't need permission. And sometimes standing up for what's right doesn't make you unprofessional. It makes you unforgettable.